Good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday evening. How you all doing? It doesn't seem that long ago since me and the Spark were here on Sunday, but it seems like so much has happened in just a couple of days in people's lives. It feels like it's flying past. Welcome to Wicked Women, wherever you're watching us from, whether you're from live or if you are watching this on playback. I'm coming to you live this particular moment from South London, and my partner in crime, the beautiful Sparkle. I always give her a good intro. I build her up, the beautiful Sparkle, who's coming in from sort of more up country into the lands of the lovely Swindon, and here she is. Hello, love.
Hello, love. How you doing?
I'm better.
I don't know why you went north, so I had to follow, but okay.
I don't know
I'm
why.
west, but either way.
When you and I get together, we often go north. So it's
we do at times, yes.
We do. And I know we're both not feeling too fabulous this evening, but it's nice to spend a bit of time with my wee one on a Tuesday evening.
I'm here. I'm still alive.
I'm alive.
To sometimes all we can request.
You look gorgeous as well. May I say you look gorgeous?
Thank you, darling, as you, as always.
Thank you. I'm in my black again. I
went with red.
Yes, I was in white on Sunday, I think. And people might have noticed that we've done a little short out. We're doing more and more shorts. And you can find Wicked Women 888 on TikTok. Please go and find us at Wicked Women 888. I've got to check that. And Instagram and Facebook, and of course on YouTube, because that's where we are. It is at Wicked Women 888. Yes, it is. So please come and follow us and share our stuff out, because we want more people to join the party. I have a Basset Hound who's just settled down, so that's cool. And is your little man still with you behind you?
He's just here, as you can see, this little black and white thingy here. Shall I poke him? Hi, baby.
He's like, I'm sleeping.
There he is. Look at me going, why? What do you want? Leave me alone.
I'm asleep. Leave me alone. I have to say, it's a lot cooler. It's really nice, isn't it?
It is. It is. Definitely want to go outside, because I find, obviously, living in the UK, our buildings are built to retain heat. So my bedroom, as it is right now, is still probably about 28, 29 degrees, which is why I still have the beautiful sheen on my face, which doesn't seem to want to ever disappear. And I do have both the fans running. Theo, thankfully, is obviously a lot happier because he's laying on the bed rather than hiding in the shower, which is what he normally does.
Can't blame him. I've wanted to move in there myself. I mean, to put it this way, there's so many fans going. I'm surprised the roof hasn't come off. But last night, I actually had just one going.
Oh, I don't know what that's like. There was a point where I turned the fans off at some point, just because I thought, you know what, they've been on for so long, let me turn them off. And my brain just went, where's the noise? There's no background noise anymore. What's happening? So
it's almost something you're like, it's silent. It's silent. I've forgotten since May, June, July. I have forgotten what silence sounds like. And I'm just looking at the forecast for the next week. They forecast rain, but whether we get it or not, I don't know. But it seems to be in under 25, and I can live with that.
Oh, good, because as soon as it hits 25 and above, I start to slowly melt away. I have heard that there are flash flood warnings, of course, because there would be, because that's what happens after a very long droughted period. The ground is so hard, it's not porous anymore. So the water doesn't have anywhere to run. So it just runs on top. And that's where flash flooding does occur. So if you are in the UK, please do keep a look out for that. I know that there was, I think they fixed the drainage issue with that bridge up near you, which hit the news a few years ago, which it's an underpass.
Yeah, that's right.
The bridge over the top.
It's in Wallington, darling. Yes,
Wallington, there you are. There you are. because that hit the news a few years ago, didn't it? And as we were going through it, that at some point this year, I went, I recognize this area. Why do I recognize
the bridge. It's the bridge.
It's the bridge that many people lost their cars in because they decided that they were going to drive through what I think ended up being 4 foot of water. I think it was.
It feels so quickly. I mean, I have seen in my time there the cars just bobbing along because they just get, you know. So I think we will be all outside going, oh my God, it's raining. Mm-hmm. Thank the Lord. I mean, I know Colleen and Michael were saying that in Bristol and in Virginia and Richmond, it's been thunder and lightning and loads of flooding and rain. And I know it's incredibly dangerous for lots of people. But, you know, for us, it's like we just want it. Bring it on.
Oh, my God. We're not built for heat. We're just as individuals, we're not built for heat, let alone the infrastructure.
Nobody wants sweaty boobs anymore. Nobody wants sweaty boobs.
I'm so fed up with tucking my shirt in underneath my tits in order to try and
100%.
And then obviously you get a bit warm, so you do the sort of one of them. And then all of a sudden you realize that there's a large portion of fabric which is just moist. And it's hang on.
Or the heat rash under your boobs, there's a heat rash. And you're just like, did I eat something that didn't agree with me and I got a rash? But literally, I just don't care to have the sweaty neck, the sweaty boobs. I just don't want it anymore. So to me, it's like bring September on. Let's
absolutely. Absolutely, I agree.
That's going to be a short. So we're doing a little show tonight also because what we're trying to do, we have, if we play our cards right, we will be doing our 100th show round around, you know, soon. And we want to do that, but also it's like Tuesday and Sundays are really cool, especially we will not be here this Sunday because Sparky and I are actually doing something quite entertaining, and we get to spend a bit of time with each other, and it'll be a knackering day. We always have a giggle when we spend time together, don't we?
We do. And I tend to get covered in grease and oils somehow, and I have no idea how that happens every time.
I know.
Can you just lean into the engine bay for a second there? Can you just I got it. Don't worry. I can get it.
She's very good at it as well. She's very good. Sparky's very hands-on, you know, literally. But it was, you know, I'm looking forward to it. So here tonight is the show that we're going to do. And it's about the woman you can't outdo. Now, when I came up with this title, you'd think, well, you know, what does that mean? So, and I gave Sparky a sort of idea about what we were talking about, the kind of woman, because here at Wicked Women we like to be empowering women. We like to make sure that, you know, we do all I can for our fellow sisters, and sometimes we need a bit of a, you know, women that could be watching this may be feeling pretty low in their life, not sure what direction they're going, feel lost, don't know who they are anymore, don't feel confident in their power, sexy. And we thought, and I'll bring up the picture. I'll bring up the picture which went with on Facebook. This is the picture here. The woman you can't outdo. So here you've got like a woman who's very confident in her own power, but in a relationship, you've also got a woman looking over, and people think, well, she's looking over jealousy, but actually she's not. She's in her own power as well. So these are two women, different scenarios, both in their own power. And it's kind of what we're trying to talk about. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to bring the sparkle in as usual. It suggests, the title suggests a woman that someone who's been changed by life, and she's been erased, she's been controlled, she's been diminished, she's been put down, she's lost her way, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, she's returned to the woman she used to be and is so much more. And the woman you can't outdo is a woman whose presence, power, strength, and individuality can't be competed with, and it can't be copied, because she's made it her own. And we use Samantha Jones out of Sex and the City as a sort of power model, because if you think of Samantha, she doesn't give a shit about what anyone thinks of her. She wears what she wants, she does what she wants, she says what she wants, she has sex in her own way, in her own power, and she's also very empowering, you know, for her fellow friends. You know, I remember the clip where she says to Carrie, you know what the testimony of a good relationship is? It's not with your head, not like that, but. And I just thought, what a great role model she is. And for me, it's taken me many years, and I still have moments where to get into my power. How about yourself?
Oh, completely. I mean, I've spoken about it before, where I completely and utterly lost my way. And I remember very significantly when I lived in Norwich, my mum came to see me and she said, "Where have you gone?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "You're a ghost of yourself. You're not here anymore. I don't understand what's happened to you." And that's because I'd been suffering with so much. It was a few years after the accident that I had and the abusive relationship that I had. And I had spiraled so far to a point where my mum couldn't even recognize me anymore. The conversations that we were having, she's like, "This isn't you. This isn't." I went through my entire life up until that point going, yeah, screw it. Why not? Let me give it a go. Let me do this. Let me try this. I'm going to push myself to do this. And then I just ended up reducing myself into something, or rather someone who couldn't function on a daily basis. Someone who was too afraid to have my own opinions because other people would say that my opinions were wrong. They wouldn't necessarily, but I wouldn't allow them to have that opinion on my opinion.
Wash your ass.
Sorry.
Jesus Christ, woman. I would be afraid to just exist around other people because I would be worried as to what they would think about me, what they would see, anything. And I was so obsessed with what other people would think of me. I stopped living my own life and started living life in the way that I thought that other people thought I should be living my life.
And what made you be like that? What was it that made you, first of all, go down that road, and what was it that changed you?
So I've mentioned before how I had an accident when I was 20 in the theatre, which gave me chronic pain, which then developed into chronic fatigue. These days has now developed into fibromyalgia. Now, because I was dealing with that at the time, the chronic pain, chronic fatigue, there were a lot of days where I felt like I just couldn't move because every time I did, it hurt. If I rolled over in bed, it hurt, which meant I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed because it hurt too much. There was a person who was in my life at the time who was supposed to have been looking after me. But instead of looking after me, he decided to take full advantage of the situation in which I basically couldn't protect myself. With that, I then started to think less of myself because I couldn't stop what happened happening. I'm being vague about it because we're online and I don't want it to get flagged. But I'm sure every woman who is watching will understand exactly what it is that I'm saying when I say that I couldn't protect myself at that moment in time. From there, the spiral that a lot of us go down when this happens is, how did I let this happen to me? I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. How did this happen? Maybe I deserved it, and so on and so forth. And because I couldn't get myself out of that spiral, even after I'd ran away 4 hours away, 3 to 4 hours away from where I was at that time when that happened, I was still spiraling because I had no one to talk to about it. And whenever I tried to speak to my best friend at the time, she didn't want to know, which was really rough, thinking that I was supposed to have this person who we've always said to each other, we can tell each other anything, we can help each other with anything, if you ever need anything, let me know, blah, blah, blah. And obviously she pointed out very clearly to me at that point that it was a one-sided thing. I was like, okay, fine. I ended up, as my mum said, being a ghost of myself. She came back up with my stepdad in a van, put all my stuff in the van, took me home. I was then, I think I was 24, 26 at the time. No, 26 I think I was. And I'd had to move back home. And again, it didn't really help me at that time because I felt like I was a failure. Just immediately, I'm like, cool, well, that life that I was building is now gone. Looking back on it, it's probably a good job that that life I was building was gone because I wasn't even really building a life. So I'd got to a point when I was in Norwich. I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't leave my bedroom. I didn't feed myself. It was bad. I was in a very bad situation. So Mum said, you're coming home. So we went home. And then I think a year later, I'd been in the cinema job. And a year later, COVID hit. And during this whole time, I'd been doing my streaming. And my streaming was my only sort of escape. It was my only way of having any kind of confidence whatsoever in anything that I was doing. So that was a big thing that I was working on. So I kept doing that when I came home. I was working in the cinema for a year, found a new best friend who is amazing. And I can still call on her at any time when I need her, which is brilliant. She literally only lives down the road as well, which is fantastic. And after that, I knew I needed a little bit more. I needed to push myself further. So that's where I decided to go and do my commission-based only sales job, which was raising money for charity. 2.5 years I was in that job. Within the first month, I'd regained confidence. Within 6 months, my mum said to me, you are back to where you were. This is amazing. You have come back to being who I remember you being. Which was great because then I had that moment of cool. So if I'm here, I still feel like I have more progress to do. So I continued, which is why I was in the job for 2.5 years. And then, my body started failing me. But mentally, I'd managed to get myself back to a point where I was confident again. Because if you'd have said to me, oh, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? I'd be like, no, you're good. I'll just hide away in the corner. I'm not gonna do anything. I wouldn't have come up to you to say hello to you. I wouldn't have been doing conventions. I wouldn't have been doing anything that I've been doing in the last few years. Nothing. So it's been a huge change from that moment in time. And that was because I decided to stop living in it, almost like in the shadow of myself. And I think I'm finally at the point now where I have the confidence to go, yeah, fuck it. I'm back at that point where I go, screw it, let me try it. Let me do it. Let me see what this does. Because I don't have the fear of failing. I do have a fear of failing. I don't have as much of a fear of failing. I can start. If I fail, fine. But the difference is, before, I wouldn't have even started.
It's I can relate to you so much with your journey, because you and I, we've talked about this before. We've been through so much together, and just to share that, I know is cathartic, but also a lot, Sparky. So thank you for doing that. But it's like, so for me, it was like like anything in life, there are many journeys we go on. I have taken some really bad turns in my life, wrong relationships, terrible experiences, and my health has failed me so many times, and yet at the same time my body is an amazing thing because it's still going. When I was 17, no, I will rephrase that. When I was 15, I had mumps. When I was 16, I had glandular fever, which mono, you guys watching in Canada and America will call it mono. And when I was 17, I collapsed with what was myalgic encephalomyelitis, which eventually we changed the name to chronic fatigue. I was bedbound. I was in a wheelchair. I had to pretty much get myself back to walking. I couldn't stand sight, sound, noise, touch. I was yellow from top to bottom. All my friends deserted me. I lost my job. My family some of my family just couldn't cope with it. Some of my family stood by me. Other members of my family told me to get out of that bed and stop putting it on, because I looked okay, but I didn't, but I couldn't get my body to work. It was like my body shut down, and it took me a couple of years to get back on. I would build myself up, get myself just about out there, go back down again. Build myself up, go out there, just get down again. And anyone who knows who's had chronic fatigue or, you know, a similar immunology, you know, issues, it's a horrible thing, because if you have fibromyalgia, you might look all right, but you're not, and you're struggling with so much pain and symptoms. For me, every 10 years I relapse, and I'm actually coming up to that 10-year one next year, which terrifies the life out of me. In that time, in those years, I have been married, miscarried, trained as a therapist, clairvoyant, traveled across the world, lost my fur baby, my 4 babies, had got my 2 fur babies. The lady came into my life. I have had toxic relationship, violent relationships, abusive relationships, good relationships. I have had some amazing women who have enjoyed as wonderful friends who have joined me on that journey, and have continued to join me on the journey, because Sparky and I, as you know, probably don't know if you're not on our page, but it was our anniversary this week of knowing each other for a year. And
Yeah.
I'm blessed every day, you know, because even though we don't get to see each other very often, we try to keep that little connection going. I lost myself so many times, like you had experiences in relationships which were not of the nicest quality. You know, looking back, I think if I hadn't got into, I was in a relationship from 2003 no, let me get this right. 2002 to 2000, to the beginning of 2005. It was the relationship that changed me as a person. It knocked out one devil and pushed 3 into me. I was in a relationship with somebody who was incredibly abusive, violently, verbally, physically, etc. You know, I ended up with a fractured thumb, pushed down the stairs. I had his hands put around my throat. It was awful. But the worst thing he did the most was that he mentally broke me. He broke me as a person, belittled. I allowed him to belittle me, humiliate me, and put myself in it time and time again, because I had such low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And so I love him. That was the words that would come out of my mouth. And now I look back and, you know, that relationship made me get on a plane to Canada and change my life. Had I not had that relationship, that would never have happened. So everything that's happened to me throughout the journey has led me to where I am today. Now, where am I today? Well, my health is still pants. I have good days and bad, you know. I have to listen to my body, which I don't always do. And then I suffer. Just because you see me looking like this and Sparky looking like that, we actually don't look like this all the time, because
no. I did not look like this 2 hours ago.
we we are not very well sometimes, and those that love us and know us will actually see us like that. It's been a journey. I know women right now who are going through a similar journey. They are at rock bottom and they don't know which way to go. Shall I do this? Maybe if I do this, maybe I'll take a different turn. And I think it takes a while for us to get into our power. And once we get back into our power, and for me, it took me to get into my late 40s before I actually thought, do you know what, Wendy, you do deserve more. You do deserve better than this. Why, but I'd had so many relationships, and I'm not just including with guys. I'm talking about female friend relationships. I'd had some that had really broken my heart, really stabbed me, because sometimes women friends are the worst ones going. And they have our trust and they break our hearts.
Because they choose a guy over their best friend.
Well,
that's what happened with me.
That's what happened to me too.
Yeah.
And that's so sad, because I had a good friend. I had a best friend. And if she ever watches this, which she might, you'll know, Tina, you'll know I'm talking about you. But it's like, she was my best friend for 20 years. And we were like this. I mean, we were like this. Whatever I went through, she went through. We shared together on the phone night and day. And she used to say to me, Wendy, you're one strong, independent, beautiful woman. And I used to say, no, I'm not. I'm in a terrible state. And I'd be crying and, I'd be all over the place. But she put me back together many times. And for that, I will always be grateful, and I will always love her for that. And one day, who knows, we may even mend a bridge. I don't know. But I do think that I've had to rebuild myself like you, Sparky. I've had to rebuild myself so nobody gets to dismantle me again, because I'm not going to be dismantled.
Absolutely. And it's that kind of thing of somewhere in your brain you're going, no, don't put up the walls again. Don't put up the walls. But you have to in order to protect yourself. And it's every so often you might bring that wall down. But it's going to take a lot to actually bring that wall down.
Yeah. And you can hear it going up brick by brick. Like it's like
you can hear it sometimes with some things that you say in conversation. You go, oh, okay, yeah, I know what that was. Was. Okay, yeah.
And I've got something. When I put down, what does the woman you can't undo mean? It means, as I said, the woman who survived what was supposed to break her. She no longer needs to be chosen. She stops explaining herself, because fucking hell, Sparky, how many years have we been justifying ourselves and going, well, the reason why, or let me just tell you this, and if you just let me have my word. I mean, does that sound familiar?
Definitely. I mean, I still catch myself doing it even now, and I do it to you, where I'll say something, I'll go, hang on, I need to explain that I'm not being mean, okay? This is the way that my brain has had to say this, but I don't mean it in any way or form, because I'm so used to saying something and someone turning on me straight away going, excuse me, what did you just say? Like, no, I didn't mean it like that. Okay. It's just come out that way. But also, it's not necessarily the mouth that it comes out of. It's also the ears it goes into. It's not just me.
But I think I always say to people, you shouldn't have to justify yourself only to yourself. I also think sometimes we allow someone back into our life, but we never let them hurt us again. There's always that boundary. You remember what happens to you, but you no longer live there. So you see it, you know what happened to you, be like, I'm no longer in that energy. I'm no longer in that space. And you don't, this is a good one. You no longer shrink yourself to protect someone else's ego. You no longer shrink down. So you're like, no, I'll just shut up and sit in this corner. You're like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to be heard.
Yeah. And that's a big one as well, because a lot of the time, I mean, I've always been someone who's very, when I was younger, I was very outspoken. I didn't care. I will say what I need to say, whether you like it or not. I don't care. And then it got to a point where all of a sudden I went, oh, I need to be careful what I'm saying now. I need to be careful of this. And the way that I justified it was, oh, well, I care about other people's emotions and how they feel, and I don't want to hurt them. But the deeper side of it is, I don't want to say this thing which is going to upset this person, because then they're going to turn on me and it's going to be a lot worse for me in the future. That is definitely one that I've had to kind of realize. And now, obviously, I've gone back into, if you don't like it, then don't have a conversation with me.
Bugger off.
Yeah.
And also, this is a big one. We understand that being alone is better than being repeatedly disappointed. And that is such a huge thing for me, because I have deliberately chosen to be single. I might have gone on a few dates, but I haven't wanted to be in a relationship until it was something extraordinary that made me want to stop being single. Because I see so many people get into relationships again and again and again. They can't be on their own, or they feel safer in a relationship, or they need to have that person with them. And you just feel like, do you actually really know yourself? Do you actually really got to know yourself? So, and the worst thing is, the longer we're alone, this is so true as women as well as guys, the longer we're alone, it's really hard to break that.
Yeah. I'm at 12 years at this point, and I'm like, yeah, no, 12 years since what I would say is probably a relationship that I was in, not just spending time with someone because of spending time with someone, if that makes sense. Because it was very suddenly, you have these moments where you go, are you real? Are you honestly saying and or doing this thing? Really? Okay, no, I'm out. Because I'm not going to put myself in a position again where I'm unhappy. And I've also seen it throughout my life as well, of people being in relationships that they are very much not happy in, but then they're stuck. Good news, one of those people have sorted themselves out now, which is great. So they are, I feel like they will be living a better life because they'll be living their life. They won't be living someone else's life, or the life that someone else allows them to live.
Sure.
So I'm very happy for them, and I'm so pleased that they've managed to do it. Which probably sounds like a really horrible thing from one side, but then from the other side, when you've been watching it for so long, it's a relief.
Yeah.
It's not just a relief for them, but it's a relief for me as well. So yeah, I'm very proud of that person.
Repeatedly disappointed. I mean, there's so many people get into relationships, and if they haven't broken that cycle, if they haven't worked out who they are, if they haven't gone into themselves and done the work, you will keep having that cycle, and you think, well, I don't deserve better. And I think it's really important that all of us, whether it's man, woman, etc., it's like you need time to understand who you truly are, how you really think, how you really tick. And if we keep putting our happiness in someone else's hands, then that happiness is always going to be in someone else's hands. Your happiness must be in your own hands. If you're in a relationship, it should be both of your happiness. But if you're on your own, and I think for me, it was like I didn't want to date anymore. I just didn't want to date. I didn't want to be with anybody. It's
hard work.
Well, it is. And I also preferred just had the bed to myself. I didn't have to put up with, as we talked about in Beyond the Six Pack. I didn't have to put up with all stuff like that. But also,
you didn't have to put up with unwashed arse.
Exactly. I didn't want to keep being let down, or watching what I say, or walking on eggshells, or, oh God, they've got the arse now. There was all this, because it shouldn't be that difficult. It really shouldn't be that difficult. So the women who can't be undone are women who've turned pain into boundaries that goes, no, there's my boundary. You ain't getting over it, and I deserve better. And if you that's the cat trashing things in the background.
Mine's just gone upside down.
Yeah, I can see it. My one is around here. He's trashing, he's playing with his toy, I think. And they turn experience into wisdom and rejection into freedom, because that's the other thing, rejection, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like whether it's whoever it's coming from. And the woman who can't be undone is the woman who will not return to her previous setting. And I tell you what, I am never ever going back to that woman who, when I was 34, 35, living in a frightening, oh my God, my stomach's turning, oh my God, like I'm scared to say anything, and yet I didn't have the strength to do it. I look back at that woman and I want to go back in time and knock on the door and say, I'm from the future. Get out now before you waste all this time. Unfortunately, I can't. We waste too much time. We waste so much time, but I don't think we become the women that you can't undo until we go through shit. Would you agree, Sparky?
Definitely. Because if you haven't experienced it, you don't know how to deal with it. And there are certain things, I mean, there's what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right?
Sure.
That is a saying. So, and as rough as that is, it is true. It didn't kill me. I'm still here. Just about. And I am stronger for it mentally than I was. Completely.
I'm still, the way I see myself is I've rebuilt myself, repaired, patched myself up. And there is that little vulnerable part of me still there, but I protect it. And I have very much a tough exterior now. And if you know me very well, you'll see beyond that tough exterior. And Sparky, she's seen it many times below my tough exterior. But a lot of the time I have it, and I have to fake it till I make it. And I think I've got to a point where I'm like, if I'm going to change my life, I'm the only one that's going to be able to do that. And I've got to grab it myself, and I have to do it throughout my health, and having disabilities as well, because that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, being a woman who has disabilities and ill health, trying to get back out there, trying to get your, work around your illness or work around your health, especially when you don't look ill, is really hard.
Definitely. Because, again, there will be that time where people go, well, we had this thing booked. Why aren't you available? Difference is we'll let someone know in advance as well if we can't make it. Because we know our bodies so well at this point. If I was going anywhere tonight, I would not have been able to, because of the way that I felt over the last couple of days. Mentally and physically exhausted, really struggling for the last couple of days. I would have cancelled yesterday if I was going somewhere. Obviously, I could do this because we're here. But it's one of those crazy things as well. We know our bodies so well at this point that having someone else who doesn't understand or doesn't want to understand going, you'll be fine. You'll get over it. Yeah. In like 2 weeks' time, when I've had 2 weeks of recovery, thanks for that. You don't need that much time recovery. Yes, I do. You don't know these things. So knowing ourselves, knowing our bodies, knowing our minds is so very important, because we have to be our own advocates, especially because we are disabled. And the fights that you and I have been through with people in the past, not even necessarily trying to get them to believe us, but needing the help that we know that we need sometimes, and you and I do not ask for help. So
No, we don't.
When we
That's
get
our
to the
problem.
point, yeah. But it's also because we're so used to having to do things on our own, because when we've asked for help before, it doesn't work. People don't want to help us
And
necessarily.
it's not just people, it's even the government,
establishment.
it's even doctors, it's even hospitals. I mean, I remember many years ago when you were just a little young lass, and I was going through this at 18, 19, sitting in a wheelchair, and the doctor said, "Why don't you leave my surgery so I can see people who are more iller than you?" And my mum just got up and she said, "I want to hit you with my handbag." She said, "How dare you speak to my daughter like that?" But, you know, nowadays that doesn't happen so much in certain scenarios. But back then I wanted to fling myself from the greatest height because nobody believed in me. "What's wrong with you? Why aren't you working? You know, what's this?" You know, my friends were going out. I couldn't go with them. My own family, you know, some of my family members just didn't support me, didn't understand. My boyfriend went out and got himself a new girlfriend, so they you know, I lost my job, and it was months and months and months of being in bed. And my mum, without my mum, I wouldn't be sitting here today. She has picked me up and pulled me back so many times, and I don't know how I'm going to cope when she's not there to actually, because she always believed me. No matter when I was ill, no matter what I was feeling, she'd say, I've got your back. I believe you. And I think seeing her go through her own journey right now with her ill health and everything with an age it's a horrible wake up call that she's always been my rock. And then suddenly, when she's not going to be there, it's going to be an awful situation. And I think when people say to you, "You've changed, you know, you've changed so much from the person you used to be," well,
Good.
what it means is that you know, especially if they treated you really badly, you're like, "Well, yeah, and you're not going to treat me the way anymore." But I actually, the old version of myself, Sparky, which I'm sure you can relate to, I overgave. I forgave too easily. I waited indefinitely for someone and accepted breadcrumbs, right?
Yeah.
But the new person, the new Wendy goes, "Fuck that shit," right? This is my boundary. You've only got so many, like, what, I give you 2 chances. Everyone can make a mistake, but you fuck up the second time. And I'm not having breadcrumbs anymore, because at the end of the day, I deserve better. And it took me fucking years to say, I deserve better. How many women is it going to take, you know, that can sit out there and watch this and go, "You're right, I don't even say that, I deserve better."
And that's the problem, is there are a lot of people, I'll go with the relationship thing again. There are a lot of people who are in relationships who don't believe that they deserve better because they are told they don't deserve better. But why does one person get to decide what you can and can't do with your life, which is not their life? Because at the end of the day, your life is your own. It's the only thing that you own and control completely. And allowing someone to take that from you is that they are taking your power away from you. And that is the last thing you want, because the only thing you have in consciousness is yourself.
Yes.
Everything else is fleeting. Things that you own, places you go, whatever. The only one constant is you, as your soul, is in this fleshy prison for this lifetime. This is the thing that you need to look after more than anything else.
100%. I couldn't have said it better myself, because I think that the new improved version of Wendy, if let's you know, let's bring that up. Am I guarded? Yes. Have I developed standards? Absolutely. Have I got a wall that says, no, you can't come in unless I let you, and a boundary that says you can come in, but don't fucking disrespect me? And that's why I am that blocker now. you're blocked, or
Yeah.
or you disrespect me in some ways, you're blocked. I don't fear being alone. I am alone far too much, sadly, but I am alone a lot. You can't manipulate me. You absolutely can't manipulate me. I was very emotionally manipulated and vulnerable years ago. You cannot manipulate me now. I want to be loved deeply, but by someone who actually loves themselves as well, and have worked their shit out, and they know what they want and what they don't want. I don't want someone that's like, well, I don't really know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Or, well, I think I do, but I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Or they're just like, oh, emotionally unavailable, or, I just don't want to do that shit anymore. So I will abandon something like that quite quickly. And I never would. And I would never give up my friends for a guy, ever. Because your friends should be there throughout your lifetime, even if you don't get to see them all the time. There's not one man on the planet I would give up my friends for, because at the end of the day, if my friends are toxic, it's down for me to sort that out and whatever, not down to a guy. And I think that it took me a long time, because I settled for bad relationships. I settled for bad friendships. Even in my own family, I settled for stuff that now my sister says to me, when you go, you go. And I'm like, I do. But I come from a long line of women. My nan, absolute legend. She was a tiger. Rip your face off. She would absolutely beat you from one side of the room to the other. My grandfather was scared shitless of my grandmother. She was a tiger. My mum often says, that's who I remind her of. My mum, strong woman, had to be very, very strong, tough going, but very loving, gave, and sadly didn't get back as what she should have had in her life, which is really, really sad. My sister has brought up her children pretty much on her own, battled ill health, literally, mental health as well, and she's still out there doing what she can. Myself, I haven't had a chance. I came out the womb sick. I've been sick most of my life. I don't know any difference. And I'm sick and tired of having to justify that or explain it. It's like, this is my life. This is who I am. You've got to be pretty amazing for me to bring you into my life and to introduce you to the babies, to introduce you to my home and my friends. Because at the end of the day, I trust very few people now, Sparky. If you're on the list, if your name's on the list, you're coming in. If you're not, adios.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a key part of protecting ourselves as well. Very much so. I know that Mum has told me a lot of stories from throughout her life. And I feel blessed to have been able to have those conversations with her, and the fact that she trusted me enough to tell me those conversations. We'd sit in the car, either outside your house or outside hers, and just talk for a solid 10, 15 minutes. Up until the point where we went, right, okay, should we head in now? Yeah, okay, cool, let's go. And it's a key thing. It's such a key thing. And we have to be strong for ourselves. We really do. You were saying about relationships earlier. I also suffer from rejection sensitivity. I think it's disorder. I don't know. At the end of it. And I always have done. And that's because, I know where it came from, obviously, as many things come from. But it's crazy just to think of how I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. I spend a lot of time on my own, but I'm happy to spend time on my own, because I know that if I spend time by myself, I'm not going to be disappointed by anyone. There are times where I do disappoint myself. For example, in the last couple of days, I've been going, I need to go to the gym. I want to go to the gym. Not necessarily I need to, I want to. But I haven't been able to because I haven't been physically capable of doing it at this point in time. which on one side, I've disappointed myself. On the other side, I'm looking after myself. So it's like trying to figure out what's the best part of that. But I don't think you're necessarily alone if you're by yourself, because you can have such a wonderful life by yourself. And sometimes people think that being alone is a negative thing. But I quite like being alone. I travel alone. I went to Copenhagen completely by myself.
That feeling, yeah.
I loved it. It was crazy. I got to the train station when I needed to. I got to the airport. If you've ever traveled with other people at the airport, and then you go by yourself, and you suddenly go, wait, this isn't actually stressful. Why was I stressed when I came here with this other person? What's happening there? That's ridiculous. And I know that I can trust myself. I have faith in myself these days. I'm not going to let myself down.
That reminds me, and I think I mentioned it to you the other week, about Game of Thrones and Daenerys Targaryen, when she says, do you know, the one thing that kept me going throughout it all was the faith in myself, the belief in myself. And I thought I can relate to that, because, you know, there are many. I mean, I've been here for a few decades now. You know, I'm you know, I can say that I've been here for.
I'm at the point of a few as well.
And I'm like, you know, beauty, money, and youth. Well, that's, you know, that really doesn't last. It can come, you can lose it just like that. But to be authentic in yourself, to have emotional intelligence and intelligence, humor, emotional depth, confidence without being cocky, sexually confident, which obviously has come as years have gone past, loyalty and independent. And that's really important to me. My mum always said to me, never let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. And what she meant by that was, you know, so many women give the money, everything to the guy, and it's all in his control. Well, it was, but in very much in my generation and their generations before, it was always like, put something away for you, make sure you've got a rainy day fund. And I have a presence when I walk in a room, and that's something it took me many years to actually be confident about. You know, I walk in a room and I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you look at me and think whatever. I walk in and I own the room because I put that out there. I don't care. It took me years to get it, years, and I don't want to let it go. And I'm a force to be reckoned with. I actually am. In fact, I think the woman I am now, although I'm tired and worn down and etc., and worried about everything, you know, that's going on, I'm a far better woman and a far stronger and a nicer woman than the woman I was a couple of years ago. Because, you know, I've pulled myself up from the roots. And you know, it doesn't mean I still don't fall apart. I mean, Sparky's had me on the phone and I've been falling apart, but at the end of the day, I will get back somehow. I don't compete with anyone. I am me. There is, you know, there's no competition. I am just me. You either want me, great. If you don't, fuck off. End of. I'm not worried. And I think women are encouraged to compete with each other, especially when you have, if you look on, you know, world today, if you age, that's like, oh my God, you know, your boobs are not the same. You've got to have your face done. You've got to do your eyes. You've got to have an injection to make you super skinny. Younger woman is always pretty much still chosen over an older woman quite a lot of times, even if the woman's got experience, which is so wrong. And also you feel a pressure on you to still look good, which is just good in some ways, because we should all take care of ourselves. But it's like, you know, you walk in a room and you want to pull your tummy in because, you know, whatever, you pull your tummy in and there's some skinny woman there and you're just like, love, you've made me just want to go and get my Bridget Jones on and breathe in. Do you know what I mean?
I completely understand what you mean. So I'm gonna throw a little thing out, which I. So obviously, I mentioned the other day I have a new favorite actress, who I seem to be watching a lot of things with her in. Her name's Hannah Waddingham. She's been around for a long time. She's done Broadway. She's a West End performer. She's in Ted Lasso. One of the things that she's also in is Ride or Die, which I've been watching a lot of recently. And she's turned 52 in July. And there was an interviewer. Good Lord, I really hope that he wanted the world to swallow him whole, because he called her a woman of a certain age.
Oh my God.
And she laid into him. And I just went, this is fantastic. Because this woman can only be described as a goddess. She is 5'11". She is curvy. She is so freaking beautiful. And what I love is that she is so within her power that you can see people on social media going, in the age of Ozempic, be a Hannah Waddingham, which is fantastic. She is incredible. If you haven't heard of her, or like, just look her up. Just look her up. She's fantastic. And also incredibly talented, very good at what she does. And we need more of that for us. Just
we do.
In general.
We do, because, and I've got some, I'm glad you brought her up, because there's a couple of women I wanted to share with you. But I think women become more beautiful and powerful with age, whether that's, I think it's not till we get into our 30s and mid 30s coming up that we start to really understand and start to get to know us. And then by the time we're in our 40s, going in our 50s, etc., we are, I always think we should be like Benjamin Button. We should be born old and grow younger as we get older, as in youth, because youth is all about attention. She's 24, she's nice boobs, or she's reasonably looking, and she's going to pull someone's eyes. Well, that's great. That's really great. But has she got it up here? Is she intelligent up here? Does she keep your attention? Because when you talk to her, it's like, wow, this woman has got something to say. She knocks me sideways. And it's the same with a guy. You might have a good looking young guy, but when you talk to him, there's nothing up there at all. There's no experience. There's nothing. And you're just like, yeah, you're just pretty to look at, aren't you? A mature woman, or a woman who's been through a lot, knows her body, recognizes manipulation, and has survived enough to understand that, this is me. If I fuck up and make a mistake, I'll sort it out. It's down for me to sort it out. And just because I'm getting older, I'm not becoming invisible. I will not become invisible through my age or my disability, etc. And yes, I can be hurt. I can be exhausted. I can be lost. And I've been those in the last couple of years. God knows I have, in a very dark place, night of the soul. But nobody can take away the wisdom that you and I and women similar to us have earned, the lives that we've touched, the differences we've made, and the parts of ourselves that we are reclaiming or reclaimed. And I think that's very important, because there are still parts of me out there that I need to get back.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that so much, because I think one of the big things for me is, I've mentioned it before, I am attracted to both men and women. Most of the women that I am attracted to are 45 plus. Because I think it's that intelligence that comes in as well, where I go, oh, hang on, I could actually have a decent conversation with this person. And you were saying about when you're like women in their early 20s. It's funny, because if I look back, I didn't have the kind of time of, oh, this is a very attractive person, because I found where I was, I'm going to say that I was quite intelligent. I think I still am quite intelligent. But because I was quite intelligent, I was seen as intimidating. And people didn't want to talk to me because they couldn't control the conversation. And that had always been the case up until I was 21. And then obviously I kind of fell off the rails a little bit. But whenever I put the act on or pretended to be myself, that intelligence sort of came back. And I find it very interesting how intelligence is seen as intimidating.
But it's also very sexy.
That's the thing. I think it's very sexy. I think it's incredibly sexy. I love a storyteller. If someone, storytellers are my favorite kinds of people. If I can just sit and listen whilst you tell your stories, I will be so happy. So happy. I'll involve myself as well as a needs when be, But storytellers are my favorite people because they're so intelligent. And especially because a lot of the time, storytellers don't just tell the story, but they allow you to feel the story of which they are telling.
Because you see it through their eyes. You can feel that. You can almost see the picture building up. And I think you're right, because for me, I always liked older guys, because they had the experience, they had the intelligence, being the one that ticked it off. Ended up with younger men, and I don't even know how that happened, but it did. But having said that, there were always people that I could have a really good conversation with as well. But I think these days, it's got to be somebody that really I can talk to about anything. Doesn't matter what time of day it is, what time of night it is. I can pick up the phone. We can have a conversation. We can put the world to rights. We can, understand each other. And I think that's more important these days than looks. It's more important these days than the six pack. It's more, although that's really sexy, don't get me wrong, and you still got to be physically attracted to someone's mind is the most sexiest part, I believe. And I think there's nothing wrong being formidable and men have always found me intimidating, always. I'm tall, I'm leggy, and now I walk in a room and I just don't give a shit. And I think it's taken me a long time to get where I am, and I've been a bit like this for a long time, and now I'm like, bring it on, buddy. You want to have it, you bring it on. There are people out there that should be fucking scared that I haven't got to them yet, because they should be scared. And now you brought up about Hannah. I wanted to bring up about a couple of people that in movies and films and in real life that are the woman you can't outdo. And one of them would be Sarah Connor in the Terminator films. That was a woman who started off as a young woman. She was like, oh my God. And she turned into this kick-ass, through trauma, motherhood, and sheer bloody determination, which I think as women we have to have. I mean, she was a force to be reckoned with. What a great character.
I loved her so much. I really did. I remember watching the Terminator movies for the first time, and I was just thinking, this is so cool. This is fantastic. And again, it's one of those, this was the 80s, so this was rare occurrence for there to be a strong female character.
Yes.
Which was something that only just really started to come about in film late 70s, within the 80s. And I think it's just so important. Just so important for everyone to see. Oh yeah, by the way, you can have strong women. Apart from anything else, Queen Elizabeth II, she was a very strong woman.
Yeah.
And yet society still decided to to be the way that they were towards women so much. So I think the change in how films decided that they were going to run within the late 70s, 80s with these strong female leads, absolutely fantastic, incredible.
I just think it's so sad that you see these wonderful actresses like Helen Mirren, you know, and she's one of my favorites. And when she said, the thing I should have said to myself when I was younger was to tell people to fuck off more. And I've basically taken that on as my mantra. But they get to their prime. Who was the lady that just recently died? Oh my God, Downton Abbey.
Maggie Smith?
Yes. And it's like, and then we lose them. And then we lose them. It's like, why has it taken so long for them to get there? And then we lose them because
the thing is, the problem as well as the entertainment industry. It really is. As someone within the entertainment industry, we are told just in order to get somewhere within where we want to be, you see all of these different reports and everything of just don't be too loud, don't do this, be respectful, make sure that you do this, don't say no, don't, like, all of these things that has come out of so long, and it's drained down from Hollywood into your regular occurrence on a daily basis. And it's horrible to say that that is still a thing. There are still producers out there who are saying, you need to do this in a particular way, otherwise you're not going to make it. And it's, what do you mean? I'm talented. I know what I can do. You know what I can do. But just because I won't do these certain things that you want me to do, that justifies it for you to say that I can't do this? That's insane.
Absolutely. And, you know, Queen Elizabeth I, I mean, going back even in those days, and I mean, you know, her mother, Anne Boleyn, I mean, in a time when women had no power whatsoever. And you know, Anne, she, you know, she could have been paid off and gone to the country with her daughter somewhere, but she was like, you know, no, I'm not going to have that. And she stood her ground and sadly lost her life, but her daughter went on to be probably the greatest monarch this country's ever had, I believe. Absolutely. Someone I did want to bring up who I've seen 2 movies about, but actually is Erin Brockovich, because she was a great movie and she was dismissed because of how she looked. She like me, she likes her boobs, you know, out and show, likes the cleavage. She used to wear a short skirt and everything, and people thought that she was just this, you know, good time, but she wasn't. She was impossible to silence. She was like, no, I'm going to get to the bottom of this thing. She had persistence, she had an instinct, as in, like, I know there's something going on, I'm going to see it all the way, and she did. And now she's a very, very powerful woman. And as an actress, I love this woman. She was in Britannia, but as Beth Dutton in Yellowstone. Oh my God, that woman is just like light blue touch paper staying well back. She is ferocious, unapologetic, and loyal, and she kicks ass. She has vulnerability, but she then puts that as an armor. She loves her man, absolutely. She refuses to be intimidated by any man or woman. And what a role model that she is. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a Beth? Because I think she's just awesome. Have you seen her in Yellowstone?
I haven't seen Yellowstone yet, but I have seen that clip of them in the bar when she's off dancing.
Yeah.
And someone walks up to him and she just kind of puts the beer bottle down and starts walking, and it's like, oh, you fucked up, run now. It's just the way she walks across the bar, and you know outright you have made a mistake.
I mean, any woman who literally has a man and some other woman tries to come along and take him in any formal shape should be worried. because, you know, there's always consequences. And that's the thing with Beth. She's going to stick a bottle over your head. That's for sure. I just thought that was just absolutely awesome with Beth. But like I say, going back to Helen Mirren, she's a great actress, confidence. She doesn't apologize. You know, she is Judi Dench, another one. I mean,
amazing lady.
She's retired now, but what a awesome woman.
Firecracker. Absolute firecracker. And she's hilarious as well. Absolutely hilarious.
I'd love to have gone on a night out with Judi Dench and Helen Mirren.
God. Oh my God.
And Maggie Smith. I mean, God, those women, literally. But I tell you one person my mum's always admired, and we've lost her now, but Tina Turner. My mum adored her, and she used to say, look at her with those heels on and the mini skirts, and she's walking along a metal rod, and there's a photograph of her hanging off the what's it called, the Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel
she's
Tower,
hanging off the Eiffel Tower, which apparently she did without strings. She was hanging onto it with her heels, and I'm like, that woman, she is the greatest real life example of, she had abuse, she was taken to the depth of despair, and she got her name, which was his, but she took her name and created a life and career that nobody could take from her. And that's something I can relate to, because Robertson is not my name. It was my married name, and when I divorced, I kept it, and I thought, now Wendy Robertson is her own person in her own right. I don't actually relate Robertson to him at all. I relate it to me. It's my persona, it's my name. And I'm very proud of Wendy Robertson and everything she's been through and still going through and still getting up. So I will always, even if I marry again, I'll always keep Robertson as my name, because at the end of the day, that's who I am. And I think Tina Turner was like, I'm sorry, Ike, you've been a shit. I'm keeping a name. And she did so much better. And if you see that film, What's Love Got to Do with It? He turns up to see her just before she's due to go on stage, and he has a gun pointed in his trousers, and he gives her flowers, and she's like, go ahead, do it. Take me out, shoot me, do what you want. I am sick of living with it. And he cannot cope with how strong she is, because she's right back in his face. And maybe if she had found that a lot longer, earlier, who knows what her life could have been. And I just think, what a woman.
Yeah, she's incredible. I always remember there's a clip of her in concert at 70 running across over the top of the audience.
That's right.
In heels without anything attached to her or anything. She's force, an absolute force. And obviously her music is still standing strong today.
So shame we lost her.
I love the fact that she was just very much, she was one who just loved love. And I think that's fantastic. I know that there's a couple that I know who have been together for a very, very long time. And they went to see her at some point, and it was great. Because she's very important to their relationship. And they managed to go and see her at some point as well, which was incredible.
I had tickets, and actually I couldn't go because I wasn't well, so someone else did. I actually have the program, but I wasn't there. I mean, Cher is another one.
I love Cher so much.
Let's be honest.
God,
that woman refuses to become invisible. I mean, I swear she's a time traveler.
Oh, I love her
because she looks. You would never think she's the age she is. And they've all had, I mean, let's be honest, Cher, Dolly Parton, they've all had loads of work done to her.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't blame them either, because if I had the money and maybe I could look that good, maybe I would do it too. But I'm quite a big fan of old Pammy Anderson, because
I love that as well.
First of all, she's a good, lovely Canadian. She does a lot for animal charities.
Yeah.
But also, there's a woman who was defined and exploited by so many people. Now she's like, I got no makeup on. I'm not doing my hair. I've still got my boobs, but I'm doing what I'm doing. And she had Liam Neeson recently. I mean, come on. The woman's a dynamo.
I do love her so much. I love her. And you're dead right. She was basically exploited with her body because of Baywatch. That was a huge part of it, was just the fact that it was like, hey, can you run down this beach and we're going to put you in slow motion, and like the whole thing is going to be the fact that your jugs are bobbing up and down. That's it. That's what Baywatch is going to be known for. And that was it. And obviously she became the face of it. Yes, okay, David Hasselhoff, but she had. So, and again, what I love about her is the fact that she took that power back. The power was taken from her by the producers and by the directors, and she's now at the point where she's like, nah, fuck it, I don't care. I don't care. Sure. And I love her so much for that.
And you know, I watched her in Barbed Wire many years ago, and she was I mean, I think if I could be half Pamela Anderson, half Angelina Jolie, I'd be quite happy, because they are such amazing women. And also Rose McGovern, I absolutely
she's amazing.
I love her so much. I loved her in Charm. I mean, she was when she came into Charmed. I mean, Shannon Doherty was another woman who was really strong, and the women of Charmed were always. I never liked Elisa. I got to say, I was not a fan of Elisa.
Alyssa Milano. I would definitely describe her as a firecracker. But I think she pointed her firecracker at the wrong people.
I thought that Holly and Shannon and Rose were awesome in their own way. And what I love about Rose is that she went through hell, and even when everyone was going, you know, she came out and spoke up and said, actually, this has happened to me, I've got to make a stand. She was one of the first people to come out and do it. Without her, where would the rest have followed? She was awesome, and she, you know, she had death threats and everything was going against her. And I just think and I've said a few comments to her, and she's answered me a couple of times on Instagram, and I'm like, just love you, Rose. And she's like, oh, thank you. And she's over here quite a lot, which I think is awesome. But
because
also
she was a huge part in that movement, wasn't she? In the Me Too movement.
Yeah,
she was the tinderbox for that, which, you know, for me personally, that affects me quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because in a way it helps to protect me in the future, which is fantastic. So I could never really thank her enough for that.
I do think that, you know, these strong women have been throughout. Look at Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, let's look. She was a strong woman, went through multiple surgeries, multiple relationships and husbands. But she didn't care. She really didn't care. Marilyn Monroe, very fragile in lots of ways.
Yeah.
Very, very fragile.
And unfortunately also exploited after death.
She was. But her legacy lives on. She was curvy. She didn't give a shit that she, you know, like Dolly Parton, the blonde, the boobs and everything, you know, she's very, very comfortable in herself. And I just think absolutely awesome. So these are characters that I grew up with, some of them. Joan Collins being another one.
Oh my God, yes.
Joan, I mean,
she's amazing.
Wow. I mean, like, I'd love to meet Joan.
The two of you in the same room would be freaking amazing.
Well, she was my inspiration. Like, so when I do my, you know, my makeup and everything, Donna Mills, who was in Knots Landing, and Joan Collins, when I was growing up, I used to look at their makeup and go, how do they do it? How do they make their eyes so blue? And obviously I've learned over the years, you know, I have blue eyes, how to emphasize them. And they were just like, and they're in their 80s now and they don't look it. And they look awesome. And I just think, Donna Mills has not had much work done. Joan Collins has not had much work done. And I read all of Jackie Collins' books. I mean, The Stud, Hollywood Wives, etc. I still have all those. And she was one of the first female writers out there. Didn't give a shit, just didn't care.
Wrote her own name on the book instead of using a pseudonym.
Absolutely. Jackie Collins. I was always I've got all her books, all of them, and I need to read them again. But the one person we started on tonight was Kim Cattrall, which is Samantha Jones. And I have a couple of Kim's books actually that she's written. A good Liverpoolian girl who went out to Canada and has done. She never went into and Just Like That, and when she did, she only went into that cameo and did it on her own way. I think she's awesome, and she made Sex and the City. I'm sorry, but Samantha made Sex and the City, and Charlotte and Miranda used to drive me crazy. Carrie was neurotic, but Samantha was just her. She was, I loved her, and I thought there's one scene where she's ill in Sex and the City and she doesn't have a boyfriend. She goes, now I know when people have men, so that when you're ill, you can call them up and they can fix you. And, Carrie's in there putting together all this concoction, and she's like, and I just think that's awesome. So I think the women you can't undo are women that have been forged through the fire. They have been there, done it, ticked it off.
Absolutely.
You can't undo a woman who's finally remembered who she is and has discovered who she is.
I completely agree with that, because especially with if you've been through shit, you already know what that feels like, and you can already see when it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So you can nip it in the bud before it even begins, which is fantastic.
I put some thoughts down here, and I wanted to, you and I can relate to this. We've been betrayed, abandoned, underestimated.
Oh yeah.
And made to feel we were not good enough or quite enough. We have spent years making ourselves agreeable for someone, or smaller, or shutting up, keeping ourselves quiet because we didn't want to rock the boat. And then one day something happened, the worm turned, or something just changed, and we stop explaining, justifying, asking people to accept us. We choose us. Mm-hmm. We choose us. And that doesn't make us cold or hard or bitter or jaded or incapable of loving someone. But it does mean that we understand what kind of love we want. We understand what love we can give. And we understand that we should never abandon our friends, our dignity, and we should never silence our voice or betray our instincts. And that's something that I'm really strong about. Don't betray your instincts.
Completely. Your instinct is there to protect you. It is there to help you. And as soon as you decide that you're not going to listen to your instinct, you put yourself in danger. That's what your instinct is there for.
Yeah.
And your instinct is probably the best thing to listen to. Forget your heart and your head. It's your gut. Every goddamn time. Every time. Listen to your gut.
I always say that because, I've had my heart broken so many times, like you have, Sparky, so many times. And I have had people that's almost destroyed me, and I've almost destroyed myself a couple of times, actually more than a couple of times, many times. And I've sometimes become unglued, and I have undone the version of myself that I thought I was. And now I've had to find my way back And I said to you a couple of weeks ago, I come across very angry sometimes, very dominant, and I don't care, because if it's taken me to become that person, to say my truth, then I'm happy that I am that person now, because the woman that's rose in me, that's come from the phoenix, from the flames, I look at all these different versions behind me. There's me here, there's me there, the woman in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s. I think, and I've still got a long way to go, don't get me wrong, I'm still wiser and stronger than I was back then. I know my worth now, which is something that took me fucking long time to actually worth, because I didn't even know how to say I love myself. It took me to live in Canada and actually have Tina and etc. in my life, and Maggie and Julie, who I met out there, to actually introduce me into loving myself and introduce me the Canadian energy. Because in England we weren't like that. When in that particular era in my life, we weren't like, oh, you got to love yourself. But in Canada, that energy followed me down. I will never ever apologize again for being who I am and taking up space, because no, I'm me, and I'm here to say it as you are.
Absolutely, completely. And I love that. I love that you're at that point. I really do.
Well, I'm not competing with anyone. It's like, I might be the age that I am, and I might have the curves, and I might have the attitude, but the thing is, I'm not the woman I was yesterday. I'm not the woman who I won't be the woman who I am today, but I'm certainly going to be a woman tomorrow that you can't outdo. And it's taken me a long time to get there, as you will come, as you will follow up, because you're just a little bit behind me, aren't you?
Just a little bit. I mean, I'm just going to pop back a little bit to what you were saying earlier about that moment where we find ourselves. Could be a little bit dark, as a warning to everyone, but you hear of those moments when women in marriages snap, and then next thing you know, the husband's gone missing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it, unfortunately, when you tell someone continuously, stop treating me like this, stop treating me like this, it will get to a point where you snap.
Yeah.
And it's just what it made me think of that earlier. Because obviously you hear of it a lot in the US, because obviously how easy it is to get your hands on certain items within the household.
The hammer, etc.
Yes, something similar. Something which could be called a rolling pin.
A blunt instrument.
It has a pin within it.
Here's one I have in the kitchen.
Yeah, here's one that I keep in the safe and things like that. Yes, but that's why it happens. That's why it happens. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes out of years upon years upon years of just continuously getting mentally beaten down. Could be physically as well.
You knock one devil out and three in. And that's why I think when I was growing up, my cat's going absolutely nuts in here, just nutsy.
His feed has just gone off, so he's like, "Ugh."
I remember, like, as I say, I go back to Benny Hill days, and the women were wearing the stockings and suspenders, and they were the one chasing the men, and everyone was like, oh my God, but I actually thought, I want to be one of those women. I want to be one of those women running around and banging the man on the head and chasing
power.
Exactly. And I wanted to be Cleo Rockus, and etc. I still watch that and think it's awesome that the men were scared of the women. Everyone said that it was the other way around, but actually, if you watch it, you can see it was actually the women were in control the whole time, and the men were like, "Oh God," and it's
I mean, I have this weird thing in my head. Sorry to interrupt. I would be concerned about a man who doesn't have a slight worry about a woman, because that then puts them, so it puts the man in a point of, if he's not afraid of a woman, if he's not afraid of upsetting a woman, then it puts him in an area that's quite dangerous mentally.
Yes.
Because he doesn't then think of consequences. But if you have this, not necessarily fear, but this little bit of ensuring that you treat a woman with respect, and knowing that you have to treat a woman with respect, you have that little moment where you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this thing. Maybe I shouldn't do this thing or act this way. Because, and it's funny because it's one of those where I don't realize up until this moment where I think, because I've always had people feeling like they're intimidated by me, which initially, when that first started happening, I was like, well, this isn't great. Why am I scaring people? I don't want to be scary. I'm not scary. But having that little bit of intimidation is actually a good form of protection as well.
Absolutely. Stand in your power. And if they are intimidated, you're not actually going out of your way to belittle someone or intimidate them. You are truly being yourself with your own energy and your own power. And, you know, I know very well, you're not a belittler, you're not a humiliator, and you're very much an encourager.
I am an enabler.
Yeah, but you're an encourager, very much so. But you'll encourage, and I think it's the same thing. You know, I stand in my power. I don't take any prisoners. That doesn't mean I can't be flawed from time to time, but you know, I don't. And that's why when I look back at some of the things in that area when I was growing up, my role models that I saw, you know, your Joan Collins, you know, Cleo Rockus on Kenny Everett. I mean, you know, she was this awesome, beautiful, tall, dark-haired woman with great boobs who was Kenny's sidekick. And Kenny adored her and she adored Kenny, and there was never any degrading or anything like that. And, you know, I know people say they weren't, what was the word? It's not... it wasn't suitable, you know, for women and stuff like that. But I actually think, no, as a woman in my power, I would think nothing of running around in my stockings and suspenders, chasing a bald-headed man through the park and banging him on the head. I mean, I can't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think
Can I watch?
Yes, absolutely. Come and join
Yay!
me. Come along with me. But I think it's really true. And you know, some of the role models, you know, I think women in your power sexuality, women in your power emotionally and mentally, it's really, really power. And I think, you know, people should go and watch Benny Hill. Let's go back and watch it.
It's great.
And look at it from a different perspective. There's been so much of, oh, we can't do this. But actually, he didn't. He actually, the women had the power and they were always getting beaten up. Another one, do you remember Andy Capp? The cartoon. Do you remember Andy Cap and Flo?
Let me have a look. I probably do.
He was always had a cigarette in his mouth and a cap, and he was always down the pub. His wife's name was Flo.
Yes.
She would beat the shit out of him.
She was great.
If he was late, or you know, she'd open the door and he'd slide down the door and she'd be like, and I just thought that was awesome. Because it was like, you know, the woman was like, no, I'm not having you treat me like this, wallop. And also, what's her name? Oh, I can't remember it, but Bouquet, Hyacinth Bouquet.
Hyacinth Bouquet. I love her so much. Hyacinth was amazing.
The lady of the house speaking.
Lady of the house speaking.
Slow down, Richard. I want the neighbors to see my hat. I just thought she was awesome, and we lost her recently, a couple of years ago. But what
October
a great
25.
Character. What a
only
great
recent.
Character. Such an awesome, and then when I look at the soaps when I was growing up, you had Dallas, Dynasty, Falcon Crest, Knots Landing. You had Jane Wyman on Falcon Crest who didn't give a shit. She had money, she had power. She didn't need a man. There's one. You had Donna Mills as Abby Cunningham Ewing, who slept with guys, got power, had money, did things their own way, didn't give a shit. Joan Collins didn't give a shit, as Alexis Colby. And then if you go into Dallas, people could say, well, Sue Ellen was a woman who was completely destroyed by a guy, but my God, she got her power back. In the end, these were all role models when I was growing up. And I look at the role models today for women, and I'm like, women that they're in their power, they don't give a shit. Their cleavage might be on show or whatever, but they are intelligent, independent women, and I don't see enough of them, and I think we're poorer for it. Absolutely.
I think it also depends as to where you're looking, to be fair, because obviously Hannah, she's around a lot today. She's always been around, but Hollywood has just kind of discovered her, really. And I think there are women of power now. You just need to look in the right place, kind of thing. And I think it's important as well, because I know that there are some in politics, in the political standpoint, but obviously that's not something that I enjoy talking about on here.
I mean, let's talk about that one briefly. Margaret Thatcher. I mean, a woman who came from a working class background. Her father was a grocer, and she had elocution lessons to speak like that. Regardless of your politics or where she comes from, to be a woman in power in the 70s, especially coming from that background of like, women are there, the men are here. I mean, I take my hat off to her. She really did kick butt. And I remember thinking, well, if a woman can be prime minister, what else can we achieve,
Yeah, completely. I mean, I quite like someone, she's a member of the Green Party, Hannah Spencer. I think she's fantastic. She's a tradie who is a member of parliament. She's trained as a plumber. Now she's a member of parliament, which is great because it's actually someone who has gone to teach herself a full trade and is now a member of parliament. I think she's fantastic. She's very strong with everything that she says. And she doesn't back down, which I think is fantastic. There's also, I don't know her name, but there's someone in the Danish government as well. She's hilarious. She's absolutely fantastic, where, again, very straight-laced, doesn't care, will say what she means. And also within the German government as well, there is a woman who, she makes me laugh so much. She recently went viral because she said to one of the guys, the clitoris has, I think she said it had like 30,000 nerve endings or something like that, and yet you, sir, are still more sensitive. And it was so funny because she said that in the middle of Parliament, and it was fantastic. And she did go viral for that, and I love her for it.
And I think it's good that we have that, because we need women like this. We need women. I mean, sadly, as people, I don't know if people in the States and Canada, but we had a female MP, an elderly lady, 78, who was murdered. And you should not be murdered for your beliefs, whether other people believe in them or not. And a 78-year-old woman at home eating her lunch on her own, and it was a hot day, so hot she left the door open to get, like we all do, to get the air in. And I cannot even begin to get my head around that. It's such a terrible thing to happen, to shock. Nobody deserves to go that way at all.
I don't think it's been confirmed as to why it necessarily happened. It says as to how it happened, but not necessarily a motivation behind it. And the guy was 28, was he? I think he was.
I have to be honest, I do not think, and I from Yorkshire to Devon, that's pretty quick. But I mean, we won't know yet, because who knows these days what goes on. But I just think for Anne, she was another woman who stood her ground. She was often berated by guys, whether you believed in her politics or not. She was actually known to be very kind in her constituency. She helped a lot of people out. She loved animals. She was a big, big animal welfare lady. She loved her cat, and sadly, a cat would have witnessed that. I mean, you know, so I just think that women are having to stand their ground. We're having to stand in our power. And yet, sadly, this is a sign of someone who, a 78-year-old lady, is not safe. So I think that, you know, there is that protection that we still have to have for ourselves as well. And I think it's so awesome that we did this subject, because when you look at a Wicked Women picture, you never know what we're going to talk about behind it, because it might look this way, but actually it means this. And it's quite important that we empower and encourage any lady of any age. I know a lot of ladies that are going through a lot of tough times right now. My mum has only ever watched a couple of Wicked Women's in the beginning. She has not seen any of them since, because of her eyes being so bad and not being able to hear. And she always says to me, what does she call it? How does your iPod go? Did you have a good iPod? And I'm like, yes, Mum, the iPod went well. And she's, you know, much as she drives me nuts at times, she is a force to reckon with. She's an amazing woman. She's a mentor. I wouldn't be here without her, or the woman I am today. And I tell you what, if I'm half the woman she is, when I reach her age, because she's a strong woman at 89, going up and down the stairs on her own, in a house on her own. She is awesome. And so, Mum, I salute you. You are such an awesome woman.
She is.
And each day, even though there are days I just go, oh my God, I also am absolutely in awe of her as well. So, you know,
and she still comes out with some cracking lines as well.
And some
she's so funny.
She's chatted so up funny. The doctor so well. She chatted up to the doctor so well. Mr. Dr. Passion, we call him, because he's great. And so now when we see him, we go, hello, Dr. Passion. And he loves it. And she's like, oh, so you're doing my eyes. She's just flirting with him. You're doing my eyes.
He always does.
And I'm just like,
can't take her anywhere.
We know who we get it from. She is awesome. And I just think it's so fucking wrong that women find their power too late sometimes, in, you know, at an age where our body is changing. And that's one of the reasons why I began Wicked Women, because I wanted a platform where we could encourage and support women with loads of topics, but also where men could come in and join and also give their point of view and perhaps learn something of
learn
which
the other side as well.
Yeah, we've been going as I said, we're on our 76th episode. And hopefully we will learn to pull up our big girls' pants and tackle some more subjects that we haven't done yet. And people will stay with us. There's going to be more shorts going out there, because, you know, Sparky and I were talking about this the other night, and I was like, oh my God, that was a good episode. Plus there'll be some shorts from the past where Carly was there and Val was there and perhaps Caitlin was there, Michael, so that, you know, people can see as well, you know, because some of the things they came up with were pretty excellent. But Sparky,
we'll find some clips throughout.
Yeah, it's such fun to have this interaction, and I think this was a great subject. We were Steve says, thank you everyone for the powerful and transformative vulnerability. The strength and resilience of women never ceases to amaze me. On the level that matters, absolutely. I believe that we've already made it and cannot be otherwise. We'll miss you all on Sunday. Health and well-being, Wickedlies. Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Love that. Love that.
I grew up with 3 older sisters. I know enough. Yes, I know.
Kind of rapid. You might not necessarily know everything, because there are certain things that women just don't tell their brothers. Trust me, I have 2 brothers.
Yes, absolutely. I have one of each. I have one brother, one sister, and so there is no show this Sunday because Sparky and I will be at a wedding doing weddingy things with the lady, so we will not be here. But there's 76 episodes to watch, to rewind and watch.
So much content.
We might even go live on the Dark Huntress Instagram or
Will
TikTok.
we? Okay.
Something like that. We might.
Maybe. Probably on the Instagram. They don't like us doing it on the TikTok.
No, apparently. So next Tuesday is when we're back. And so that will be, let's just bring up the date so I get this absolutely right. It is I believe 25th. This is going to be the show on the 25th. My country, my dog, the bond that must never be broken. They stood beside us. Now we stand for them. And of course, there is a basset hound
front and center. Front and center.
Then you have an English bulldog, which my friend has, but obviously an English bulldog, and you have the American bulldog on the other side as well. But as you can see, we fly the flags in. So this is going to be the show on the 25th. Yet again, you might see the title, but you don't know what we're going to talk about in it because we tend to go around. But that is what we're going to be talking about on the 25th of August when we come back. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for that one because they really wanted us to do it. So my country, my dog. And then the next show after that, all being well, will be the 30th of August. But I don't know if you're working, are you, Sparkle?
I don't know at the moment.
You don't know?
I don't think I am at this point.
Right.
But obviously there was that possibility of the car show.
Yes, we need to
decide as to what's going on with that.
But you will see us. We will be here. Look out for the I'm just going to put this little sign on just so you remember. Please
don't forget.
Please
don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Subscribe. I love the way you do that. I can't do that. How do you do that?
What, the rolling of the tongue?
Yes.
I have no idea. It happens behind my teeth. That's all I can tell you. And don't forget as well, there will be posts going up on TikTok and Instagram on Wicked Women 888. So if you'd like to follow us over there, again, that would be fantastic. And obviously, if you can like and share those out as well, just get as many people as we can into the party would be absolutely fantastic.
Well, let's just have a look because I put the shorts out tonight on TikTok, and it is being looked at 1,654 times. I mean, that just blows my mind.
And what is it? Me saying, "Wash your ass."
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. It has been watched. It has been played 1,654 times. I mean, thank you.
It's going well.
And there are people joining that because I think, the shorts give people the interest of like, what's this about? Also, please, with the YouTube, it says Wendy going to the YouTube, just having a look at the thing now. We've had more subscribers this week, 100%.
Ooh, nice.
More subscribers. And also, let me see, Reincarnation's doing incredibly well. And also the show that just keeps growing and growing, Where Do You Belong? Really looking forward to that. And if you really want to go back and see an awesome show, I mean, there's so many to do. The show that has had so many views and keeps growing is Frisky at 50. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Seems like a good one.
Ken Ballos. I do see that Ken Ballos is thinking of coming back on. He did say last week he was coming live on Facebook, so that would be good to have a bit of Ken B back on the show. And we haven't seen Ken on here for a while, but look forward to seeing him again. So look out for him. We will be back on Tuesday.
We will indeed.
And Sparky, as always, thank you so much.
No problem at all. I'm here.
You bounce the tennis ball back, and I bounce it back as well.
We do work together quite well, so
we do.
I'm very good at knowing when you're going to talk, when you're not going to talk, when it's my turn, when it's your turn, that kind of thing. So
not a squirrel in sight.
Indeed.
I was actually going to say, I was thinking of Johnny Depp, because the women you can't outdo. There's a man you can't outdo. Went to the bottom of the depths of despair, and coming back in Ebenezer, and now, fingers crossed, Captain Jack Sparrow, which I don't think any person on this planet, maybe one, who actually would be not unhappy to see him back as that, because you can't have Pirates of the Caribbean without Captain Jack, and there is only one Captain Jack.
It's very true. That's very, very true. So if that comes around, that would be really cool. That would be the 5th Pirates film.
Actually, it's going to be number 6. I didn't realize it's number
6.
Yes, because there was the 3, and then he made 2 on his own, and I was kind of like, wow, there was actually 5.
I knew about 4.
That was 5.
Okay.
And I'm just like, the one where Barboza disappeared is number 6, I believe. I'm sure. No, 6 is the new one. 5th is where Barboza disappeared. So it's going to be the number 6, and I think they're talking about he's the main one, but I don't think you can bring him back without Orlando Bloom and what's her name? I'm trying to remember her name now. Kira
Knightley.
Yes.
Kira Knightley.
God,
the thing is, whenever you say, "Oh, I can't remember," my brain goes, "No, me neither." For God's sake, it's in there.
I know. Kira Knightley and Orlando Bloom, absolutely. What a great thing to look forward to. And at the end of the day, you can't beat a good movie where the women have heaving bosoms and the men look as good as Orlando Bloom and Johnny Depp. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, for me, it's an absolute treat. It's an absolute treat. I got eye candy everywhere. It's fantastic.
Exactly. For me, it's like Orlando Bloom looks incredibly fine when he was the pirate on the ship getting wet quite a lot. And Johnny Depp, obviously, I mean, I'd do Johnny as Ebenezer, not being funny. I mean, I'm not. Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me at all.
It's Johnny Depp, say no more.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
But anyway, I've enjoyed it.
That's also very similar to me saying Walton Goggins as the ghoul. So, yeah, I get it.
Exactly. Well, off to bed for us because it's just gone 11. So I'm hoping to get to bed early. Sparky, I know you didn't feel brilliant. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
No worries at all. I'll take some more meds and toddle off.
That's it. Same here. I've got a basset hound lying there like this and saying, feed me. So until next Tuesday, we will see you then. Have a great, safe week wherever you are. You can't beat a bit of Wicked. Come back and join us on Tuesday and the following Sunday, where fingers crossed we will be here.
You guys are eating well right now. Good Lord.
And look out for those little shorts, please, because they're pretty damn fun. All right, darling. I love you lots.
Love you lots, my darling.
And I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, love. Bye.